already, she was the subsequent leader of the House of the Theosophy, where Blavatsky had reigned. She's the writer of all these articles. She's the one that had them published under the name Lucifer Publishing Company. And this is what she writes. The major effect of his appearance, this cosmic Christ we spoke about yesterday, will surely be demonstrative in every land the effect of a spirit of inclusiveness. An inclusiveness which will be channeled or expressed through him. All who seek right human relations will be gathered automatically in, whether they are in one of the great world religions or not. All who see no true or basic difference between religion and religion, man and man, nation and nation will rally around him. Those who embody the spirit of exclusiveness and separateness will stand automatically and equally revealed, and all men will know them for what they are. Oh, we're in trouble. Would you agree? I think we're in trouble. Now let's see how they're going to bring it about. Education. We already looked at the World Core Curriculum. The world will not change and find peace if there is not a new education. That's Hugh Tunt, former Secretary General of the United Nations, a teacher. You can find it on the United Nations webpage, direct from the horse's mouth. I'm not making this up, unfortunately. So there's something wrong with our old education for the last 6,000 years. We need a new one. Now, who are the world shakers in education? The former director for the World Health Organization, Dr. Brock Chisholm, stated, now take careful note, to achieve world government, it is necessary to remove from the minds of men their individualism, loyalty to family traditions, national patriotism, and religious dogmas. So that's what they want to do. You must give up your individualism. You must become a servant of the state. You must give up your family traditions. You must give up your religion, your religious dogmas, and your patriotism. All of those have to go. Now, Robert Miller, who's the author of the World Core Curriculum, is designed to steer our children towards global citizenship, earth-centered beliefs, socialist values, collective mindset, which is becoming a requirement for the 21st century. Well, that's exactly what Chisholm said. Robert Miller writes, a World Core Curriculum might seem utopian today, but by the end of the year 2000, is that gone already? It will be down-to-earth daily reality in all the schools of the world. And it had to be enforced by the year 2005. That's an interesting year, isn't it? That's when it had to be enforced. So this year, the government in my country went to all schools and enforced new education criteria. Of course, I've been in education most of my life, and I've seen it change over the years, and I've seen theology professors weep in front of me because of the changes. They weren't allowed to pray in the name of Jesus anymore. All of these things were removed from them. But in the year 2005, it had to go to every school down to the lowest grade. And one of the things that must be taught is evolution. So my own people from my own church schools, the one organization I belong to, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, they were confronted with the same issue. The government said, you now have to teach evolution or else. And they said to me, what must we do? What must we do? What must we do? And I said, well, you teach evolution. You say, this is what the evolution theory says. Boom, 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 boom. And then you say, this is why it's rubbish. Boom, 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 boom. But you teach evolution. Then you're still obeying the laws of the land. You know what's sad for me? Is that there are Christian institutions today that teach evolution without being forced. That's incredibly sad. But anyway, they're going to force it on us whether we like it or not. UNESCO, Julian Huxley is the former director of UNESCO. He was Humanist of the Year, and he signed the Humanist Manifesto too. So this is Huxley. Skull and Bones member Archibald MacLeish wrote the UNESCO Constitution, so you can see where all this philosophy is coming from. He's also a one world man, they all are. Huxley wrote the following. In its education program, UNESCO can stress the ultimate need for world political unity and familiarize all peoples with the implications for the transfer of full sovereignty from separate nations to a world organization. So this is what they want to do. Then, under Huxley's guidance, they brought out a guidebook for teachers. And this guidebook was to destroy a child's love for country, to prepare it for world citizenship. On page 8, the teacher is told the kindergarten or infant school has a significant part to play in a child's education. So they want to get the children earlier and earlier and earlier. And it's fascinating that in England, from this year onward, again, 2005, children are now required to go to school from the age of 3. 3. Because if they are in the school, they can be indoctrinated against the religious beliefs of the parents. In my country, they now have to learn invocations, they have to learn Hindu prayers, they have to be able to recite them. And when the parents say, we're going to homeschool, then the inspectors say, we'll come to your house. And if they can't do it, you've had it. This is interesting. This is fascinating stuff. To correct, it says on this page, the errors of home training. What might those be? Parents, what are you doing that's so erroneous? Now, let's have a look at another organization. Enough with the education of the United Nations program. In 1973, the UN Secretary General U Tant, so I'm dealing only with the big guys here, formed the organization known as Planetary Citizens, together with a man called Donald Keyes. So these two planned this organization. Donald Keyes has been involved in an organization known as Fennel in Scotland. And this is a New Age organization planning to divide the earth up on terms of ecology. So ecology now becomes so important. Oh, the trees are holy, and this is holy, and the fish are holy. And, you know, all these laws. Only native people may use a fish and catch a fish, and, law upon law. And in the end, you're not allowed to even have your land anymore because everything is holy. So now let's look at Fennel organization in Scotland, which is affiliated, as we see, through these top people. Now, the spokesman for Fennel is David Spangler. And it's so nice to have these spokesmen because they tell us what their philosophy is. He writes, quote, in his book, Reflections of the Christ, the true light of Lucifer cannot be seen through sorrow, through darkness, through the rejection. The true light of this great being can only be recognized when one's eyes see with the light of the Christ, the light of the inner sun. Lucifer works within each of us to bring us to wholeness. And as we move into the new age, which is the age of man's wholeness, each of us in some way passes through the point which I call Luciferic initiation. We must pass through it. Lucifer comes to give us the final gift of wholeness. So that's their philosophy. He says further in the same book, Lucifer prepares man in all ways for the experience of Christhood, and the Christ prepares man for the experience of God. So we become God. The light that reveals to us the presence of the Christ comes from Lucifer. He is the light giver. So, well, how do they feel about the Bible and Jesus then? David Spangler again. We can take all the scriptures and all the teachings and all the tablets and all the laws and all the marshmallows and have a jolly good bonfire and marshmallow roast because that's all they are worth. So they don't really like the God of the Bible. They prefer the other one. They don't have a choice. They don't really have a choice. Mikhail Gorbachev says basically the same thing. In other words, he says, cosmos is my God, nature is my God. What's that? Pantheism. And then he writes in his, concerning the Earth Charter, he writes, that comes from the Los Angeles Times, quoting him, he said, do not do unto the environment of others what you do not want done to your own environment. My hope is that this charter will be a kind of 10 commandments, a Sermon on the Mount, that provides a guide for human behavior.